Hey y'all, welcome to my channel, Chillinwithlanda, and today I have another story time, of course. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and like the video. And if you're returning, hey. I don't like to waste too much time on these intros, so let's go ahead and get into the video. So, this is another throwback story time, but it is worth telling. This was when I was in high school. And if you know anybody like this, of course, share your experience, leave a comment down below. But when I was in high school, of course, my young years, I was in like ninth, 10th grade. I met this young lady in lunch. I was very quiet. I got along with everyone. I didn't have problems with nobody. So at lunch, ninth grade, I didn't really have a clique yet. I didn't have a group of friends just yet. So sometimes I would sit alone. And one day in lunch, I was just chilling, minding my business. And I was sitting at the table with this young lady. We're going to call her Cece. And I thought of calling her Cece for cotton candy. You ever had them little sprays when you were a little girl? You know, the little pink and I don't remember how it looked. I just know it was a cotton candy perfume spray and it smelled so good. I had one when I was a little girl. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know. But she always, even in high school, she wore this cotton candy perfume. So I'm gonna call her Cece. And Cece was sitting at the table and she was also quiet. I guess from just sitting at the table. She wasn't around many friends, neither was I. So, naturally, she spoke to me and I spoke to her. We discussed what classes we had. She seemed like a nice girl, to just say the least. She seemed very nice. So, I gave her the time of the day. I continued talking to her. I told her what classes I had. We discussed like extracurricular activities. I was in the band at the time. So, of course, she was asking questions about the band and the conversation went on from there. She also told me she had like an older sister that was at the school. I didn't really know the older sister, hadn't seen her. She described her to me, but I was kind of quiet. So I didn't really pay attention to who she said her sister was, but she had an older sister at the school, and that was that. So Cece was a very girly girl. Cece would wear like at high school, we only had to wear like the high school tops, which was the colors, green, gold, black, white. We had to wear the top colors, but bottoms we were free to wear jeans, skirts, things like that. So she was a very girly girl. Sometimes she would wear like a very, very tight top and a skirt to school. That was her go-to with some chucks. That was her style. She would always wear that. She would have some big hoop earrings. I love me a hoop. As you guys can tell from my other videos, I love me a good hoop. She's a hoop girl, so she was very, very girly to say the least. She was very attractive. So I liked that about her because in high school, I didn't really have a sense of like, I was always pretty and I had long nails and long hair, but I wore like baggy jeans and baggy shirts because, I was chunky and I was a little insecure in high school. So I would really cover my body. And Cece, she would show her body in high school. So I admired her for that. So we would talk, me and Cece would talk sometime like on the phone after school. And one day we decided that I would spend the night at her house one weekend. So I asked my dad, and my dad was, he wanted to talk to her parents. She stayed with her mom. Her mom was a single mom. So she just stayed with her mom and her older sister. My dad talked with her mom and everything was cool. So the weekend came up. I can go to Cece house. We excited. I packed my spend the night bag and my dad dropped me to Cece house. She had a very nice home. It was pretty big. She had a 3-bedroom, nice house. Didn't smell like roaches. It smelled like Febreze. It smelled good. Very clean house. The AC was running. I was excited because when someone's house is not clean, I'm not comfortable. But that she had a nice house, so I was excited. I put my things down in her room. She showed me around the house, showed me where the bathroom, introduced me to her mom, even though I already knew her mom. She was a cool girl. Now, her mom worked overnight. Her mom was a nurse, and her mom would leave to go to work around 6, 7 p.m., and she would not get home until the morning time. This was my first time spending a night at her house. I didn't get to, I just went by her word of her telling me her mom was a nurse. So I get settled in. We're in her room. We're listening to music. I don't know if you guys remember, but I used to have like the stack of CDs, blank CDs, and you could burn them on your desktop and make all kind of mixtapes and all kind of stuff. So me and her was just in the room making all kind of mixes on the CDs, dancing, making dances, all kind of things. When you're young, making dances to Sierra was the thing. So her mom is getting in the shower, and Cece is telling me, she wanted to know, was I okay with somebody coming over? Now, initially, I'm like, okay, because this is her home. She know what's allowed and what's not allowed. So I'm thinking maybe it's one of her family members or her friend girls. I'm like, okay. So her mom is getting in the shower and Cece is like cleaning up her room slightly. Now her room was already clean, but she started to like just put like little things out like in her room. Like she was just spraying the bed and she was just like getting her little cute cover from out the closet and putting it on the bed. She was just doing like little extra things to the room. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay. And I'm just still on the desktop burning CDs, clap them thighs, all kind of music, minding my business. Her mom gets out of the shower. Her mom in the room getting dressed. I guess she's getting ready for work. Her mom gets ready for work and she comes in the room to us and she tells us to have a good night. She's going to work. Don't open the damn door for nobody. Anybody come to the house, call her, let her know. You know the usual. I don't know how y'all was raised, but the older people in my life, when they leave, you don't open the door for nobody. Nobody. I don't care who it is. So she give us that rundown. And Cece was a very respectful girl. Like yes ma'am, no ma'am. She was very respectful. She had manners. I didn't, whatever. So her mom, who car is that? Anyways, her mom leaves, and so Cece, she gets on her house phone, and she started making her little calls. Again, I'm on my laptop, chilling, minding my business, downloading all kind of music, having a good time that my daddy let me out the house. So Cece, like maybe, I don't know, let's say 30 minutes later, somebody knocks on her room door. It was like a little knuckle knock, just a ding, ding, ding. So she goes to the window and she opened the blinds. She looked through the blinds and she cuffed it. She looked through the blinds and she sees somebody. So she points to the door and then like whoever that was, he goes to the door. So she goes to the front door. She lets him in. I can hear them walking to the back of the room. I'm still on the laptop. I'm expecting a family member, a friend girl, somebody like that. This boy walked in the room. He's like, mind you, me and Cece, we're like, I'm like, I don't know, 15, 16 at the time. This boy looked like he's about 19. He's tall, had little dreads in his head, had on a scully. I don't know if you guys remember that era of It Hit Your Time where the guys was wearing a scully and they would ball it up at the top. So ugly. He just skinny jeans, ripped up, just whatever. He was all right, whatever. But he looked older. So I immediately look at him and I sit there because I'm expecting her to say, hey, this is my cousin, my brother, whoever, I don't know. She didn't never say anything. So I sit there, they sit on the bed. I look back and Cece and the boy is on the bed kissing. Like he's groping her. Like he's have a handful of her butt cheek. She's on top of him between his legs. They're kissing. And I'm just looking at him because this is awkward. They didn't even like tell me to leave or anything. They just was groping on the bed while I was there. And it was very uncomfortable. So I just get my last CD. It had just finished burning. I take the little stereo that we were using. I take the CD and I take my butt to the living room. I closed the door behind me and they didn't say nothing to me. So I stand out there like pretty much the entire night, almost the entire night. That boy left out of CC room at like 6 a.m. Like the sun was just about coming up when he left out of her room. I had fell asleep on the couch. Luckily, the couch had like covers and stuff, and I didn't have to, cover up with pillows and rugs and stuff, It was a cover out there for me. So I don't know what CC and that boy did, but it took all night to do it. So boom, the night over, the boy leave. I go in the room, go lay in her bed with her. Her mom come home. She asks us how was our night. Whatever. We lie. We tell her, well, she had a good time. I had an okay time by myself. We tell her the night was okay. Everything was cool. And, life goes on. So now let's get to the nitty gritty. I had no I never suspected Cece of being like a little fast girl or anything because she never act like that around me. Besides that time she snuck the boy in the house when her mom was at work, I thought Cece was pretty cool. She was pretty. She was a girly girl. I was taking on her feminine ways. And, I'm glad that was the only way I was taking of hers, but we're going to get to it. So time has moved on and now it's like a couple months later. Everything is cool. Me and her still cool. We're in school. So one day I'm in class, and this was the time, I don't know. Okay, I'm in class, and so I just remember like I had a little clique of friends at this time now. So I'm in class, we in our group, we're talking, and this boy, he comes over to our table and he shows us his phone. He shows a picture. So I barely looked at the picture. So my other friends at the table, they was looking at it and they started talking about it. So the boy was like, she go to our school. Y'all didn't hear about it? The girl, her name Cece. Y'all be sitting in the hallway. Y'all didn't hear about it? So I immediately pick up, I immediately gain interest now. So I'm like, what Cece? Who you talking about? He like, Cece, your homegirl, the one you be with sometime. So I'm like, who? Cece. He's like, Cece. I'm like, what happened? He was like, you didn't hear? She was caught in the locker room with some boy having sex. So I'm like, what? When did this happen? He was like, this morning. So I look at the phone, y'all, and you can't see Cece's face, but okay, so I don't know. In the locker room, you can see the lockers in the background. You can see the bench, the benches that be in the locker room. The boy was a Spanish boy. He was known around the school. He was pretty popular. He didn't play football or anything like that, but he was handsome, so he was very popular. He was laying flat on his back on the bench, and she was on top of him with no bottoms on top of him. You get the point? And you didn't see her face, but from the back, you can tell her hair, because Cece wore her hair a certain way. It just looked like Cece. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't. It just looked like Cece. It was Cece, y'all. It was Cece. So her bum was all out. His I don't know if I can say this, but his nut ball was all out. And this picture had circulated around the school within like an hour. So he's showing me this picture, and I'm like, no. So the other people, my other friends, they like send me the picture. So he's sending them the picture, and it's spreading like wildfire. That he was talking to us, and the other group, the other table was already talking about it. The picture had spread it to them, and they like, oh, this girl Cece. So my friends like, ain't that your homegirl or whatever? What's up with her? So I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to Cece. I don't know what's going on. So y'all, this had spread so far and wide within like an hour. It was ridiculous. It had spread around the whole school within an hour. It went to the other schools within an hour, like the other local high schools. The other high schools was on Facebook. This one, Facebook was brand new. They were on Facebook making posts about this, about Cece. They were spreading this picture on Facebook from the other high schools. Within like it was ridiculous. We went to lunch that day, and everybody was asking me like, isn't this your friend Cece? What's up with Cece? Cece was nowhere to be found. I don't know if Cece had left school when somebody shared the picture. And the thing was, who the hell took that picture? We feel like it was a setup, because okay, she's in a locker room doing her thing. High school students, they do that sometimes. But who was in the cut and took the picture of them doing that? That's why we feel like it was a setup. The school, we feel like it was a setup, because who? Okay, he brought you in there to have to do what y'all do, to do what y'all was gonna do. But who was in the cut to take the picture? So we feel like it was a setup from the beginning, and it spread like wildfire. So that entire day, she was the talk of the school. She was the talk of the school. She was all over local Facebook. The picture spread to everyone. The teachers saw it. We had some teachers in high school that was very immature. They act like us. They thought they were teenagers. They thought they would just could hang with us. They gossip like us, like in class. They will sit there and gossip with us like they were teenagers. It was ridiculous. They was gossiping about it. It was ridiculous. I felt really bad for Cece, because I was her homegirl. I wasn't her best friend, but that was like my associate, my acquaintance. We hung out together. So I felt bad. And it also caught me by surprise. I was kind of shocked, because like she didn't act like that around me. And when I say that, I mean fast. Like, besides that one time at her house where she had the boy come in, I just thought, because I've done that as a child, as a teenager, I snuck boys in the house. So I just thought, I didn't think much of that. But apparently she was, a little fast. And that day I realized that. Now, mind you, that whole day we didn't see the Spanish boy. We didn't see CC. I didn't see CC at all at school that entire day. She was just the talk of the school. It spread. Everyone was talking about CC. And it was ridiculous. I just couldn't take it. I didn't have much to say about it because I didn't have much to say about it. I just took in what was happening and I listened or whatever. But I still was concerned about her. So that day was that day. The very next day, rewind. That day it happened. I did reach out to Cece when I got home, called her, nobody answered the phone. I didn't even see her big sister in school that day. Maybe her big sister left because of all the heat. I'm not sure. But the very next day, we all in school. Cece comes to school. She didn't answer my call, but she came to school, and I was okay with that. I was happy to see her and to see that she was okay. So Cece comes to school, and she's walking in the hallways. I see her in the morning, and I approach her. I'm like, "Hey, Cece, what's up?" So Cece, she's talking to me like she has this blank expression, like nothing has happened, like she's totally unaware of the situation, like she didn't hear anything. Cece came to school, and I'm not gonna lie, I give her props for that a little bit because she didn't let nobody really break her spirit. But ultimately, deep down, it really did. But in the outside, I don't know. At first, I guess it didn't bother her, but eventually it did. So she came to school. She had her head held high, and she greeted me. We spoke, and I'm asking her, Cece, what the hell up? What's up with this picture? And she told me it's her. Cece admits to me that it was her, and she was in the locker room with the Spanish boy. Her and him had been talking for a while, and he told her that it was nobody there at the time and they could just do what they do, a little quick 1-2. You get me? And yeah, and she did it with him, and that's what happened. So I understood. I'm like, dang, that's really messed up, but so we're talking, but she was in good spirits at the time. And the day goes on. Everybody's still talking about this because it just happened yesterday. People at other schools, they're still talking about it. This is like a whole county-wide thing. This girl, they talking about this girl who got caught in the locker room having sex. And everybody's still talking about it. I'm still just ignoring everybody comments. I'm not really commenting much on it. I'm just existing in school. It is what it is. She seemed like she was okay with it, and boom. So that later that week, like I told you, the teachers, everyone has seen this picture of her in the locker room. And so later that week, I remember hearing that she had got called to the office. The principal wanted to talk to her because the principal seen the picture, and he suspended her for like a week in school. I'm not sure why he suspended her. Well, actually, I am sure. She got caught. It was a picture of her doing what she did in school grounds. So I am sure. But she got suspended for that because the principal, he seen the picture. Yeah, people were still talking about it. I'm talking to Cece. She seemed like she's in good spirits. Me and her still talking. We're kicking it. I walk with her sometime in the hallway. I didn't treat her no different, y'all. Because that had nothing to do with me. People really did not associate me with what she did. Like, I just was cool. They didn't really associate me with what she did. So I was okay with whatever. If she was okay, I was okay. So one day, me and her in lunch again. It's not died down at all. People is giving her stares. We're in lunch. I remember being in lunch line and she's sitting down. People is staring at CC. People is just like talking about CC. I'm in different classes from her, so of course I hear people talking about CC and how she's like a little hoe, how she's fast, and I hear all of this. Everybody's talking about. I'm sure she see this. You know what I mean? Her big sister, it's just, her big sister, it didn't affect her big sister at all as well. Like, her big sister just, she continued coming to school. She continued doing her activities. She had her friends. It didn't affect her big sister at all because nobody really, they didn't associate me or her sister with what she did. So we're in lunch one day and I'm in line and I see people talking about Cece. It didn't bother Cece at all. So I get my tray. My other friends, they didn't have this lunch that day. We had like 1, 2, 3 different lunches in high school. My clique, they did not have lunch with me this day. So I get my food and I go sit next to Cece. So we're sitting down, we're talking. And Everything is cool. People talking. I can still see them staring at CC or whatever. And this football player boy, he comes and he stand up next to CC, and the seat next to her was open, so he sit next to CC at the table, and I'm eating my little fruits or whatever, and I'm listening. I'm looking at CC, and he talking to her. So he was like, well, I've been, what's up with you? How you been? You holding up good? And she's like, yeah, I'm doing okay. And so he's like, oh, well, that's good. You seem like a strong girl, or whatever. You pretty, or whatever. And so I'm sitting there and I'm just still picking at my little fruits, trying to mind my business. And so he's continuing to talk to CC, and I could just see her grinning and smiling. She really liked the attention. And I'm still sitting there minding my business. And I don't remember everything they were talking about, but I'm sitting across from them so I can hear. And he was telling her, like, well, after school, do you want to come to my house? And so I dropped my fork because I'm like, okay, after all of this that happened, I'm sure CC gonna put him in his place and be like, don't try me like that. I'm sure CC is gonna be like, I did what I did, but don't come at me like I'm sure CC gonna stand up to him. I put my fork down and I'm like, yeah, get him, girl. I mean, in my head, I'm like, get him, girl, get him. Don't let him talk to you, try you, because it was a try. If he really tried it, talking about you want to come to my house after school. He never talked to CC. He don't even know CC. So I was sure she would put him in his place. CC told this boy, give her his number. She wanted the boy number, y'all. She wanted the football player number. And I just could not believe it. I just could not believe it. And she, my God, this still just bothered me to this day. It just like took dignity away from her. Like her dignity was just gone. She get this boy number, put it in her little book bag, whatever. And I'm sitting across looking at her, and I'm like, oh man, I can't hang around this girl no more. You really just went through the fire. People drug you through the mud in school because your bums was spread around Miami-Dade through a picture. This boy come and try you, and you ask for his number, and you told him you're gonna come to his house. CC, why? So I was like, In my head at that moment, I put my foot drop, and I was like, I can't really be her friend like that, because birds of a feather flock together. At that point, they didn't associate me doing what she was doing. They didn't associate me being fast because, whatever. But at that point, I was like, no, ma'am. And it was just sad to just like, damn, CC, it's really girls out here, like, they just, even at a young age, she just really did not care. And I looked up to her for being feminine, and I looked up to her for being strong. Everybody drug her through the mud. But she really sat here and asked for this football player number after he just tried her and was like, you're going to come to my house after school? We all know what that means, CC. Girl. So I just decided to not be her friend in my head and in my heart after that point. I guess things took, I didn't really say much to her, but I guess things started to weigh on her heart. Things started to get to her because maybe like the next month, CC had done dropped out of school. She transferred schools. I'm not sure, because after that day in lunch, I decided to back off from her. I didn't really like walk with her anymore in school. I didn't really call her on the phone anymore because, no, she wasn't my cup of tea. So she ended up transferring or dropping out, something. I don't know. Me and CC never really talked again. And that was crazy. But that would be the end of my story time. I had her on Facebook for a few years after high school, but then she kind of dropped off. She had some children, and even her older sister had some children. I had her on my Facebook for a little bit, but throughout the years, people fade away and, contacts change. So I haven't seen her in a long time. I hope she's doing okay. But that was a story to tell y'all. That was crazy. But that's the end of my story time. And if you enjoyed it, go ahead and like the video. Leave a comment down below. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, y'all, I am out. Peace.